Hey everybody, it's Lisa Colon DeLay on this sweltering July day. I'm coming to you with Spark My Muse podcast, or maybe you're seeing this on YouTube if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope you do that because there are some extras I put up there that never make it to the podcast. So today I have a couple things I wanted to show you or explain and kind of go over. And one of them is I wanted to show you a printout version of Walk with the Desert Elders devotional series. And this is a series I made up that is a supplement of sorts to the book I have coming out in January, The Way of the Desert Elders with Broadleaf Books. And what I did was there's a way you can go to desert.lisadelay.com and you can take a little quiz and find out which desert elder you match with. It kind of harkens back to those Cosmo quizzes, those fun little BuzzFeed type quizzes where you could just see, what is your personality a little more like, or who would you benefit from hearing from, some wise advice from an ancient spiritual father or mother. And so I wanted to give that opportunity. And when you get an answer to that, you will get a free kind of bio PDF document sent to you if you request it. And that will tell you a little bit about the person you were matched with. But what I did was I took all 6 of those options and I put it into a devotional series that I think is really helpful. It's a 6-week devotional, and you take one elder for each week. You kind of go over the material of every day or every couple days for that week, and then you move on to someone else. And so, as you maybe can see right here, this is the first page of the devotional series, and you get to learn in this series from Abba Moses, Abba Macarius, Abba John the Small, Abba Evagrius, one of my absolute favorites, kind of the reason why this second book came about at all, Amma Syncletica, a desert mother many people have not heard of at all, and Amma Theodora, another desert mother. I wanted to make sure to include in this series the desert mothers. These spiritual mothers, few of us have encountered or learned from, and so it's a great time to do that. And then on the front of this devotional is a quote from the man considered, quote, father of the monks. Now, he wasn't the first monk out in the desert, but he was one of the most influential in this early period when people began to leave the cities and villages of the Roman Empire and come out into the absolute middle of nowhere. They lived in community or lived as hermits. And this was a way of increasing their devotion, redoubling it, getting back to basics, because the Roman Empire was taking over Christianity in institutional ways, and it was becoming very corrupt. It was the first instance of Christian nationalism. And we all know how sour that goes very quickly. Power and God get kind of mashed up into this horrific, warped situation. But there have always been Jesus followers who thought, not for me, thanks. And these people literally left and started over, and they lived ascetic lives, which means they lived lives that were simpler. Some of them only ate 1 meal a day. Sometimes there was fasting. And they would spend a lot of time alone in their cells, which this is how we get the word for our penitentiary cells. Is cells were little dwelling places that they built usually by themselves, by hand. Maybe they were made out of stone cut from rock or stones piled up, or they could be like little thatched huts made out of mud, things like that. So St. Anthony, father of the monks, says, whoever hammers a lump of iron first decides what he's going to do with it, what he's going to make of it, or what she's going to make of it. A scythe, a sword, or an axe. Even so, we ought to make up our minds what kind of virtue we want to forge, or we labor in vain. So this wise elder is astute. He wants us to be intentional about our lives, about developing virtue, instead of just thinking we'll end up somewhere from some influences doing whatever. He says, no, decide the kind of person you want to be, decide the virtues that you want to have, and aim for those virtues with the grace of God, in prayer, and developing intimacy with God. It's very common sense advice, but we are missing a lot of common sense advice lately. And so I think bringing this elder back into our consciousness and these other 6 is really helpful for us. So Here's the one for Abba Moses. Wonderful, fantastic, considered the patron saint of nonviolence, Abba Moses, and this is what that one looks like. And as you can see, maybe you can see this in the video, The Way of the Desert Elders. That's my book right there. You can find The Way of the Desert Elders to pre-order it, and it will be out in January. Go to tiny.cc/elders, all lowercase. And then here's just a brief picture of the page of Abba Macarius. And Abba Macarius was well known for his fatherly wisdom, his forgiveness, his grace, his not holding faults over people, not judging people, forgiving very easily. And I have some interesting things about him in that guide. And then there's this part, Walk with Abba John. Now, Abba John had dwarfism, and he was little, but he was very revered as a extremely wise monk, as a spiritual father, and I loved some of his extremely practical advice for us. Maybe you get paired with Abba John if you take the test at desert.lisadelay.com, and you would get paired up with him, and then you would get that. But if you want to have all of them together, this is where I recommend getting this devotional series. And this devotional series can be had at patreon.com/sparkmymuse/shop. It's in the shop section of my Patreon page. And I hope you will support at Patreon. But even if you don't support, you can still do the shopping for this devotional series and several others I have out there. I have one that's new also, and it's about dreaming, remembering our dreams, and even waking up within them and developing those skills so that they can be used for spiritual formation purposes and for intimacy with God. Next, we have Abba Vagrius, and this is what that one looks like. He will guide you that week. And on to the spiritual mothers, Amma Syncletica, a little bit about her. And finally, Walk with Amma Theodora. We don't know as much about Amma Theodora. Some of her wisdom was lost to us in the ages, but what we do have, the scraps we do have, are sensational. She makes a wonderful advisor to us, a wonderful guide, and an example of devotion and love for God. The second thing I want to do today is highlight Psalm 37, a psalm of David, a psalm attributed to David. And the reason why I am paying a lot of attention to Psalm 37, it's the thing keeping me going. I have to tell you, it's been hard. It's been hard this month. I've shed a lot of tears because I feel that when we see innocent people who are very vulnerable, people who are without help, without legal rights, when those rights have been taken away, they really, really suffer. They die sooner, and some of them will die in our concentration camps that we have going. And there are a number of concentration camps slated to be constructed all throughout our country. And this is a time of great sorrow. My heart is broken for what's happening. And the thing keeping me going, pardon me if I begin to get choked up and cry, the thing keeping me going is the encouragement we get from Psalm 37. Psalm 37 isn't written to us. It's written to other people in another time for other reasons. And so we can't do a one-to-one comparison that this is a psalm exactly for us. However, we can know that the psalm is written for us, and we can gain something from it. We can gain encouragement in our time. So I'd like to read it to us here, that we could meditate on it and also embrace the comfort God gives us in difficult times. And as we do that, as we embrace the comfort God gives us in difficult times, and we rely on God and trust God, and also try to trust each other with our future, as we stand up for what is right, as we resist what is wrong, as we get in the way and dismantle what evildoers are doing, I think we need extra encouragement. So forgive me if I get choked up. It's not typical of me that I cry, especially on an episode. But it's been hard because I take the suffering of others seriously, and it affects me. And it's better for me to have a diet of news that doesn't dwell too much on that, but gives me the contours, or else I would be overwhelmed and overcome. So the psalm attributed to David goes, "Do not fret, even when wicked men seem to succeed. Do not envy evildoers, for they will quickly dry up like grass. They will wither away like plants. Trust in the Lord and do what is right. Settle in the land and maintain your integrity. Then you will take delight in the Lord, and he will answer your prayers. Commit your future to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act on your behalf. He will vindicate you in broad daylight and publicly defend your just cause. Wait patiently for the Lord. Wait confidently for God. Do not fret over the apparent success of a sinner, a man who carries out wicked schemes. Do not be angry and frustrated. Do not fret. That only leads to trouble. Wicked men will be wiped out, but those who rely on the Lord are the ones who will possess the land. Evil men will soon disappear. You will stare at the spot where they once were, but they will be gone. But the oppressed will possess the land and enjoy great prosperity. Evil men plot against the godly and viciously attack them. The Lord laughs in disgust at them, for God knows that their day is coming. Evil men draw their swords and prepare their bows to bring down the oppressed and needy, to slaughter those who are godly. Their swords will pierce their own hearts, and their bows will be broken. The little bit that a godly man owns is better than the wealth of many evil men. For evil men will lose their power, but the Lord sustains the godly. The Lord watches over the innocent day by day, and they possess a permanent inheritance. They will not be ashamed when hard times come. When famine comes, they will have enough to eat. But evil men will die. The Lord's enemies will be incinerated. They will go up in smoke. Evil men borrow, but they do not repay their debt. But the godly show compassion and are generous. Surely those favored by the Lord will possess the land, but those rejected by God will be wiped out. The Lord grants success to the one whose behavior he finds commendable. Even if he trips, he will not fall headlong, for the Lord holds his hand. I was once young, now I'm old. I have never seen the godly abandoned, or their children forced to search for food. All day long they show compassion and lend to others, and their children are blessed. Turn away from evil, do what is right. Then you will enjoy lasting security, for the Lord promotes justice and never abandons his faithful followers. They are permanently secure, but the children of the wicked are wiped out. The godly will possess the land and dwell in it permanently. The godly speak wise words and promote justice. The law of their God controls their thinking. Their feet do not slip. The wicked set an ambush for the godly and try to kill them. But the Lord does not surrender the godly, nor allow them to be condemned in a court of law. Rely on the Lord, obey his commandments. Then he will permit you to possess the land. You will see the demise of the wicked. I have seen ruthless, wicked people growing in influence like a green tree grows in its native soil. But then one passes by and suddenly they have disappeared. I looked for them, but they could not be found. Take note of the one who has integrity. Observe the upright, for the one who promotes peace has a future. Sinful rebels are totally destroyed. The wicked have no future. The Lord delivers the godly. He protects them in times of trouble. The Lord helps them and rescues them. He rescues them from the wicked and delivers them, for they seek his protection. And this is an acrostic poem. In Hebrew, this would have each letter of the alphabet represented by each opening line. And that's a great mnemonic device to remember this if you are a Hebrew speaker. And again, when it says possess the land, I'm not saying this relates to the United States at all. This was for a poem, song written for the people of Israel to give them courage. And to encourage them to be godly, to not envy the schemes and the successes of the wicked, the people who prey on the innocent and dispossess them of what they have. They throw them in jail without cause and without due process. This speaks to how the godly succeed and the godly prosper. And it warns that their time is numbered, their days are numbered. So this this chapter in this psalm is keeping me going, because it feels as though the tide has turned, that the wicked are prospering greatly. And so it's important that we keep our courage, that we encourage each other, that we realize that God will protect us and strengthen us. It might not be in ways we expect. And this isn't a bunch of verses that work as a promise, like if you do this, I'll do this. This is a song poem with truisms, but ones that we can take deeply into heart and hopefully meditate on. Hopefully they allow us to have our peace, to have some assurity in what God has promised, that God will take care of us. How that happens, what that looks like, I cannot tell you. I can tell you we are in wicked times. Wicked, wicked times. And so I ask that you pray for those who are harmed by the wicked now. I pray that you will lift up my own heart, that I don't become discouraged. And I thank you for joining me today.